and I have a journalist whom I really admire. I share a lot of his tweets. You've probably seen if you follow me. I share a lot of his work, and he also does a show on TNT Radio. And so welcome, George Eliason. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me, Tara.
So, George, I don't want to give your exact location, but we are live from Ukraine. Is that correct?
I'm in Lugansk People's Republic. Yes.
Okay. Great. So that is now, yeah. So I'm going to let you take it from here because, again, I'm trying to be with the journalists I have on. I want to be careful not to locate them. If they choose to say where they are, that's great. But so if you could talk a little bit about what you've been experiencing just in the last few days.
The last few days, it's all over the place depending on where you are.
Mm-hmm.
The shelling Ukraine is intensifying the shelling that's going on. And for the last 8 years, and keep in mind, it's been 8 years for the people in Donbass, their shelling has intensified to levels that go beyond anything for the last 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
In Donetsk on the 13th, there were, 140 something shells plus almost 50 rockets. And it's just crazy. They hit residential areas, schools, hospitals. And if we were talking about Ava Bartlett a few minutes ago.
Yes,
she went to the maternity hospital that they shelled, and she talked with the women that were in the basement. These are women that are waiting to have a baby. And the hospital's being shelled, so they have to move them. I mean, the amount of stress that they're under. And there was one baby that they couldn't move because it was in an incubator. It was on an upper floor.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple doctors had to stay with the baby because if they unplugged it, the baby would have died. So the video that I saw, you see debris around the incubator.
Wow.
From the explosions. Yeah, exactly. It's been crazy, especially the areas that they're freeing up, because it's been the same thing in Ukraine-controlled areas.
Mm-hmm.
They're killing people. Aidar had a concentration camp set up at Popetsnaya. They took over what was a sausage factory, turned it into a torture camp.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, exactly. And for the last 8 years, they've been grabbing people out of the population, and these are people that they're supposed to be protecting.
Now these people are Russian nationals as well?
You can't.
Or you can't. Is that not the right terminology? Is this a Western kind of terminology?
Well, everybody over to Poland is actually Russian descent.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, where's the Russian national? Now, everybody here had Ukrainian passports. I'll give you an example. In the summer of 2014, Western media was screaming, the Russian army's here, the Russian army's here, the Russian army's here, all the way through the summer and into the fall.
Mm-hmm.
I was the first Western journalist to go across the front lines, grabbing passports and checking weapons. And let me tell you something, they were not too happy about an American doing that. I was with one of the original militia groups called Prizrek. And the deal was, okay, we're going out there, you're not making phone calls, we're going to go where I say to go. All right, and it's a total surprise. The passports, other than a few, were Ukrainian passports. I mean, can you imagine you show up at a position, and I still, after all the time I've been here, I still speak Russian like a 2-year-old. Okay, so it's here I am, a bearded guy, cutesy, right? Yeah, not so much, but walking up to people with weapons that were secretaries engineers, coal miners, website designers, dancers. Now they have to defend themselves against their own government, and walking up and said, okay, give me your documents now. They're like, what? And I said, I need to document this. Give me your documents now. I need to see them. All these Ukrainian passports come out. We're Ukrainian. We're Ukrainian. The biggest group of foreigners that I came across were about 35 French nationals that had come here to help protect the people in Donbass. That was the biggest group of foreigners. Now, there were probably 5 Russian passports at a time, a couple Chechen, a couple Afghanistan, some Spanish. And, you know, so the term Russian national, this was part of Russia until 1922. Where aren't you going to find a Russian national? You know?
Well, I think what I'm referring to is the fact that in the Donbass region, in the last 8 years, as you referred to, with all the violence, that over 14,000 people have been murdered by like the Azov battalion, like the neo-Nazi lines and so on. And I don't think Western audiences have been told that this is Russian disinformation. So that's why I'm trying to bring this up now. So could you, when you say they're protecting themselves from their own government, could you expand a little further to educate people? Because people right now, their view from America or from, you know, is, oh, this is, you know, the Russian, you know, military operation that's happening. They don't realize the aggression that Ukraine is showing their own military on bombing civilians. Like you just mentioned, the maternity hospital, that's not being covered by Western media.
Right.
Could you just explain that a little clearer? You know, that point.
Yeah. You know, it goes back to 2014 again. Okay. Now, to set up the information war, they needed to turn the people of Donbass into, call it the other, all right, separate from us.
Right.
So calling them, you know, the Russian supported, you know, rebels or whatever, the pro-Russian rebels. Well, if you look at it from American experience, okay, in 2020, Antifa takes over a city, BLM takes over a city, okay, they start burning it. That's what happened here, all across Ukraine. That's what was going on. They overran the police. They actually put out videos, the nationalist group, private sector. First, they demanded all the police chiefs resign, and they were going to take over the police departments.
Right.
And the ones that didn't, they put out videos to local political leaders showing them cutting their throats in front of their wives in their apartments, hanging them, throwing them off bridges, all kinds of things. Now that's called an intimidation tactic. What you got in 2020 in Minnesota and Seattle and all over the place was only the first round of where this goes. They started attacking people. If you don't speak Ukrainian, you're a target. If you don't speak Ukrainian well, you're a target. If you can't say certain words in Ukrainian, you're a target. Well, here's the problem. Most people in Ukraine speak Russian.
Right.
That's actually the natural language. You go into the cities, even Kiev up until 2014 was a Russian-speaking city. Now, did that mean that everybody was pro-Russian? We want to join Russia? No. It meant that the people here speak this language. You know, there was a language of mom and dad, grandpa, all the way back to, you know, Adam and Eve, whatever. One of the bases of Ukrainian nationalism is the Ukrainian language itself, because there isn't a nationality. It has no nationality tie. There are actually 18 or 19 different nationalities that make up Ukraine. So you can't do it on bloodlines like I'm Italian or
Right.
I'm Irish, or this or that.
Yeah.
So that was this basis. And to be pro-Russian, all you need to do is pronounce one word incorrectly.
Oh my goodness. Okay. And that's enough.
That's enough.